Make sure y'all stay on point with
The Puncher's Point. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to The Puncher's Point. Unfortunately, we have some non-pleasant news for y'all. Naoya Inoue versus Sam Goodman will be postponed again due to Goodman suffering a cut in sparring. Obviously, this is the second time that it got postponed. The first time that it got postponed, there was a cut in sparring on the eye, and that happened basically when it was supposed to take place in December. However, that cut ended up basically getting resurfaced. What happened originally was he suffered a cut into the eye, he got 4 stitches, and then now the cut has re-aggravated itself, and so now he is going to have to get plastic surgery to make sure that this cut can be subdued and this cut can be healed. Now, I do want to say that before I continue with this, the source for this article was Mike Coppinger of ESPN. Now, basically, this is some sad news because this is the second time this fight has been postponed. And obviously, with everything going on, this fight was supposed to take place in Tokyo. Sam Goodman, undefeated opponent, 19-0 with 8 knockouts. Naoya Inoue, I mean, I can go on and on about how great he is, but I mean, they say it, I mean, sometimes you don't need words. You know what I'm saying? You just go look up some Inoue highlights, you go look up his accomplishments, and words don't do it justice. So it really is unfortunate that we're not going to be able to see Inoue back into the ring in late January. Now, as far as this plastic surgery that's going on with Sam Goodman's cut, they're saying that it could take approximately 6 months to heal. So now they got to go find a replacement, and they have not found a replacement yet, but they are seeking one that can take it on a 2 week span. So, with all that being said, here's my take. It really is unfortunate that this fight can't happen. Obviously, because we are relatively close to the fight, this is 2 weeks' notice. Obviously, people bought tickets, and the main headliner was Naoya Inoue. So, you got to make sure that you get a replacement. I wish that I can come on this podcast and say, might as well not have the fight at all in January and set up a new fight, but you can't do that because there's been fans who have already bought their tickets. Okay. When we talk about boxing, especially boxing in Japan, you think of Naoya Inoue. So, because of that, I feel like people have already lined up and bought their tickets. When you really go and you look at it, he is the face of Japanese boxing. And so it's just at this point, I feel like it's a little too late to basically set up a new fight. You got to find a replacement. It's unfortunate because whoever's going to step into this ring has 2 weeks notice to go in there against Naoya Inoue, and they have 2 weeks to get ready, get in shape, and not only that, prepare on how to beat the monster, which a lot of guys with 3, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you name it. There's been guys who've had months and months and months, several months to prepare for this guy, and they haven't. Now you're telling somebody to step into the ring to prepare for 2 weeks. It's not doable. I don't care who you are. It's not doable to do against somebody like Naoya Inoue. Now, I believe that right after this replacement, Sam Goodman and Naoya Inoue, they need to make that fight happen. They need to set a date because that fight needs to happen. Now, obviously, circling around this whole division, there is MJ Akhmadaliev. Now, he is the mandatory for Naoya Inoue. That's also something that they can go and point to. I wouldn't be surprised if MJ decided to cut in front of Sam Goodman, and Sam Goodman, decides to back away to see that fight happen because MJ's been calling out in a way for a very, very long time. Now, regardless of who you think wins that fight or not, me personally, I think it's Inoue. But regardless of who you think wins that fight or not, I think it's about time that he goes and he fights MJ. I've been saying this for a long time. I think he needs to go and fight MJ because MJ has been calling him out. MJ has been making waves, and I feel like that is potentially the best fight in that division to make. It's not the best fight to make with Inoue. Obviously, you got other guys who are bigger names like Nakatani. You got guys like Bam Rodriguez. So there's definitely got other guys that he could be facing, but I feel like in this division, I feel like you got to go with Akhmadaliev. I feel like his time is going to be coming pretty soon. So now, with all that being said, it's going to be really hard to sell this fight now, in my opinion, to a lot of people who would want to watch it. Obviously, when you have Inoue on the card, obviously people are going to tune in, they're going to watch it, because Like I said, he is one of the stars in boxing. So it's all about who you can get into the ring with, you know? So as of right now, there's not a lot of guys that I would pick over Inoue. You know, there's not a lot of guys I believe that could give Inoue a challenge. So with that being said, who do you choose as a replacement? Honestly, because it's not going to be Akhmadaliev. I feel like that's a fight that needs months of preparation. It's not going to be somebody. It's not going to be a rematch of somebody he already fought, like Luis Neri or TJ Doheny. It's not going to be any of those guys. So when we really look at the boxing divisions as of right now, who should Naoya Inoue face? Well, I mean, I think it's pretty simple that when we go and we look at it, it's got to be somebody, in my opinion, in the top 10. It has to be somebody, but I don't want it to be just some guy who is basically what you call a shoemaker or a guy who nobody's heard of. I want it to be a guy relatively with a name and somebody who can go in there in a way, put up somewhat of a fight because I'm not trying to see, because I'm going to be honest, I'm not trying to see in a way go in there and just fight some random guy. I'm not trying to see all that. I want to see him fight somebody, maybe Cardenas. I think that would be a great fight. We look at it, Elijah Pierce. I think Elijah Pierce would be a pretty good fight to have, but obviously it's going to happen within Top Rank. So it's all about who are they going to pick to just put in front of Inoue. Um, it's really going to be tough. It's really going to be tough to find a good replacement. So when this replacement gets announced, it's going to be hard for me to be excited about it because I already know the result. We already know the result. It's just a matter of how's it going to happen, you know? And I'm not going to lie to you. Recently, Inoue has been showing small weaknesses. I'm not saying he's a scrub. I'm not saying he's past his prime. I'm not saying his time is coming near. I'm not saying any of that. But recently, as impressive as the knockout was with TJ Doheny did put up a good fight against him. Even though Luis Neri did knock him down in that first round, Naoya Inoue came back and he dominated for the rest of the fight. The point I'm trying to make is recently Naoya Inoue, he's been showing small weaknesses. He's been showing them more and more than what he usually did. Because I'm going to be honest with you, when I used to watch Inoue fights, I used to say I really can't find a weakness with this guy, and even his weaknesses, they're hard to expose because he's so great at what he does, and there's so many different things that you got to watch out for. You got to watch out for his quickness. You got to watch out for his speed. You got to watch out for his power, his footwork, his IQ. You got to watch out for it all. You got to watch out for the feints. You got to watch out for how he counters you. You got to watch out for how he picks his openings and how precise his punches are. There's so many things to Inoue that you have to watch out for, but he does have those weaknesses. And I believe in the last two fights that he's been kind of showing them a little bit. Even Tapales. Tapales, I mean, obviously Tapales got beat. He was getting beat 4 rounds, but he did have some moments. Not nothing crazy, like he didn't rock Inoue or nothing like that, but there were times where he would, touch up Inoue. And obviously it doesn't mean a fighter gets touched up or punched. It does not mean he's a scrub or nothing like that. But from what I expect from Inoue, based off versus the last 2 to 3 fights that we've seen, Inoue has kind of shown some of those weaknesses. So I want to see somebody who is going to give Inoue a good fight. I would like it to be Elijah Pierce. Do I think it's going to be Elijah Pierce? Most likely not. That would be my biggest name that I would like to see him fight as a mandatory on 2 weeks' notice. First of all, somebody's got to take that fight on 2 weeks' notice, and I mean, you fight with Inoue, you're gonna get a lot of attention. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for example, TJ Doheny, he got beat by Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue hit him so hard that he broke his back, and he hit him in the stomach. He hit him in his stomach. He hit him so hard that he broke his back. And now what? Now TJ Doheny is gonna get a world title shot again. So when we really look at this, when we're really looking at the landscape of everything that's going on, when you fight Naoya Inoue, you get spotlight put on you, So I feel like if somebody's gonna come into this ring, I want it to be somebody who has the skills to, put up somewhat of a fight against Inoue. I'm not trying to see this fight go 1 round. Inoue knocks him out, and then that's it. Because let's be real, guys, okay? Most of our viewers are currently in the States. Let's be real. We got to wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to catch an Inoue fight. Okay. So if we don't catch it right when it begins, if he goes in there against some guy that has no clue what he's doing or doesn't have the time to prepare or isn't ready or isn't somewhat ready to show something, Inoue's going to knock him out in the first round. We're going to miss it to begin with. So I would rather see Inoue fight somebody that's going to give him somewhat of a challenge. Honestly, I want to see that. I want to see, has he been able to improve against somebody like, you know, has he been able to improve versus TJ Doheny, versus Marlon Tapales, versus Luis Neri? Has he shown some type of improvement? Has he kind of covered up, or has he tweaked up some of those mistakes that he's been making in the last 2 to 3 fights? That's what I want to know. And I think the only way you're going to find out is if he goes up against somebody who has the tools to give him somewhat of a good fight. But obviously, with 2 weeks' notice, it's going to be really hard for somebody to prepare for anything with 2 weeks' notice, especially against a guy like Inoue. So it's going to be very interesting to see who they pick as the mandatory. Um, but overall, after this fight happens, most likely Inoue is going to win. And again, anything can happen in boxing. An upset could happen. Do I think it's going to happen? Most likely not. Not at this phase of his career, as dominant as Inoue has been. I don't see it happening. Could it happen? Yeah, but I don't see that happening. So after this fight, most likely Inoue wins. So then what? Do they go straight back to Sam Goodman? Do they go to Akhmadaliev? What do they do after Inoue's fight come January? Come late January? What are they going to do? So obviously, I would have my opinions, but I feel like the best time to express those opinions is going to be after his fight coming up. So whoever they choose to fill in on those 2 weeks notice, that person, they're going to sign up most likely for the toughest challenge of their career. It's definitely going to be an insanely hard challenge to fight somebody on 2 weeks notice, get in shape on 2 weeks notice. So it's going to be really tough. But overall, I'm excited to see who it's going to be, and I hope it's somebody that can present somewhat of a challenge to Inoue, so we can see how Inoue has tweaked up some of those mistakes. And overall, I mean, time's going to tell. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see. And don't get me wrong, we're still going to predict this fight. Whoever the replacement is. I know recently with the replacements, the Puncher's Point and myself, we've been kind of off. Like, we missed the Jai Opetaia replacement, and that seemed like it was going to be a very good fight. Obviously, Jai Opetaia wiped him off the face of the planet. But overall, whoever they announce as the replacement, we are going to do the prediction episode, or me, excuse me, because it's just me here now. I will do the prediction episode. I'll make sure we get it up here before the fight starts. Y'all can check it out. Y'all can like, share, subscribe, comment, follow all the social media platforms, follow all the podcast platforms. Just go in there and show some love but keep out. But let me tell you something, okay? Keep your eyes out for this next video coming up, okay? Because it's going to be some big ones. We got some big plans going on with the Puncher's Point. We got some interviews coming up, so make sure y'all definitely stay tuned. Make sure you guys turn your notifications on so you guys can get notified when those interviews come out on YouTube. And with that being said, make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point. What's up, y'all? If y'all love this episode, make sure y'all subscribe. You hit that notifications button, and also take a look at the recent episodes that we made before this. Make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.